What's up YouTube, Capital G here, talking more about the Yu-Gi-Oh anime in this video, and a bunch of information has actually come out in regards to the anime, like the storyline, and at least probably what the story is going to be about for like the first arc of the show, a bunch of people who are going to be working on the anime itself, and then we actually have a little sneak peek at what the animation of the show is going to look like. And guys, I have to say, everything that I have seen in regards to Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains looks really good. This is shaping up to be an amazing anime. Like, at this point, I'm willing to say that if this show is bad, I would be completely shocked, because everything basically points to it just being a really high quality show. I know that there are a lot of players who don't actually watch the anime, they just kind of like play the game, but you guys should really consider watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, because if you actually watch the anime, you will actually enjoy the card game more, because a lot of times the anime and the card game, like, they directly relate to each other. So let me talk about some of the stuff that's going on and some of the stuff that we actually just found out about the show. For starters, the director of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains also directed Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods. If you guys have ever seen Battle of the Gods, I know that me being a huge fan of anime, I don't tend to watch that many anime movies because a lot of them are non-canon. For example, One Piece is my favorite anime. I've seen like 600 episodes of the show. I have seen not a second of any of the movies because I'm like, they don't matter to the storyline. But like, I've seen a bunch of the Dragon Ball movies when I was like a teenager. Not Battle of the Gods, but what's it called, like Dead Zone, Tree of Might, The World's Strongest. I watched a bunch of those when I was a teenager, and I've seen Resurrection F. I've seen Battle of the Gods, and Battle of the Gods is a fucking amazing movie. Like, that movie is really good. Even if they never would have did Dragon Ball Super and that storyline had not been canon, that just would have been a really good quality piece of anime. And the fact that the guy who directed that is also directing this show is a very good sign. The guys who work on the opening intro, which is called With the Wind, is a group that has worked on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I have not seen JoJo, but from what I can tell from people, you know, from my stream and just from anime fans, JoJo is like one of the most beloved animes on planet Earth right now that is currently running. People do not talk bad about JoJo. I've heard some of the opening and outros for JoJo. It's high quality shit, and there actually is, I'm going to show you guys this sound clip. I'm not going to play it. I'll link it in the description. I've actually heard the intro for Vrains. It's really good. Like, the intro, Believe for Art V, originally I didn't like it that much. It kind of really grew on me over time, but this intro sounds like really good. The guy, and this is probably the biggest and most important factor, the series direction is going to be taken by, or it's going to be worked on by the guy who actually did almost the entire 5Ds anime. It says basically from episode 27 until the completion of 5Ds, this is the same guy who will be working on Vrains. Now, he did also direct Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, and I'm not trying to say that that is a slight or anything, because, okay, here's what I understand from Zexal, and you guys have to understand, I haven't seen any of Zexal, and I've only seen a couple of episodes of 5Ds, but I could tell just with a couple of episodes why everybody is like fucking in love with 5Ds, why people say that it is the best show, because it just doesn't even feel like the other ones. It feels darker, it feels more mature, it feels like they deal with like social issues and stuff like that. But from what I can tell, and I've talked to people who both hate Zexal and people who, you know, really enjoyed it, and I've talked to like people who know a lot about anime. From what I can really tell, there are two reasons that people kind of are sour on Zexal. Number one is obviously Yuma, and the fact that I don't think people liked it, that he felt kind of he felt like the most immature and childish of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Protagonists. I think a lot of people just ultimately never came around on Yuma. And then, as Rank 10 told me, he says there are large parts in Zexal where everything feels like it's kind of like all the monsters basically kind of look like Gundams. And I think outside of that, Zexal is still a pretty decent show. I think that Zexal really gets a bad rap, but I think that the fact that the guy who did Zexal and 5Ds is like, I think that this is a good sign. This guy knows Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds is known as the greatest of the series. The fact that he's working on Vrains is a very good sign. Now, we have a little more information about the actual storyline, and I'm just going to assume that this is probably just going to go for like the first arc of the show. It says that it's going to take place in a place called Den City, which I would assume that this means that Vrains is going to happen in a different universe. I never thought that it would really make that much sense to have Vrains in the same kind of Art V universe. It's just like, don't even do that, because you might potentially fuck up the continuity of the Art V show, even though I guess it could take place later in in a timeline or something like that, but it's going to take place in a place called Den City, and there's a company called Soul Technology, and they're the ones who have basically set up like the virtual reality, and they've set up this thing called Link Vrains, and that's where the duelists actually duel. Now, the thing about it is they kind of, when we first got information when it came to Vrains, we all kind of thought that Yosaku didn't really know anything about duel monsters and that he was a complete novice. Well, it says here that there is basically this evil group, and they're called the Knights of Hanoi, and their goal is to destroy the AI world known as the Cyverse, or the Cyberse, and that exists somewhere in the network where I guess all the duelists play. But the thing is, it says that there is a hero called Playmaker, and he's the one who constantly defeats the Knights of Hanoi. And guess who the Playmaker is? And he's like famous, and people all know him in the network, and he's like a really big deal. Yeah, well, this guy, this Playmaker, this hero that fights for justice and whatnot, that's Yosaku. So it's interesting because now it kind of makes me think that he's not this, well, I'm not saying that he isn't this low-key guy who doesn't really have any friends in high school, but he kind of feels like he's kind of a Batman-ish type character. Like, you know, when he's in high school and stuff, he is just a normal kid who's quiet and keeps to himself and doesn't have a lot of friends, but then he jumps into like the virtual reality world, and you know, he becomes the fucking Batman, and he's like a badass and stuff like that. And I guess that's why he does have like two completely different looks, because regular Yosaku is this like mild-mannered guy, and then he goes into VR and he becomes like, you know, fucking Super Saiyan or something like that. So what do you guys think? Based on everything that I have seen about the show so far, I am liking it. And, you know, I like the fact that he isn't going to, or it appears that he's not going to start as a complete novice. I think that that was one thing that people didn't like about Yuma, is my understanding is that when Yuma first starts in Zexal, like he's basically like a complete novice. He doesn't really know anything about duel monsters. And, you know, it was looking like we were going to have that again with Vrains, but no, it appears that Yosaku already knows how to play, and he's already really good at duel monsters. And again, if you guys are skeptical, please watch this video. Not only does it have the intro that I think sounds really good, but it shows the animation style of the anime, and it is beautiful. So I want to know what you guys think. Are you excited for Vrains? I'm going to watch, unless the show is absolutely a dumpster fire, which I cannot see happening. I plan on watching every single episode of this damn thing. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already.